So if you're going to look into your future, where do you see LeBron James playing the start of the NBA season? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hoop and the Harm. As always, I'm joined by Nolan, and we're going to talk about the best time of year, the NBA offseason / signing season /
NBA fan Christmas in July.
Yes, that is correct. If you went shopping, what's under the tree? Who do you want to lead off with? What are the rumors? What are you feeling is the vibe of the NBA this offseason?
I mean, to be honest, since our last video, it's kind of been a little quiet out there. I would say the biggest news, which may end up being no news, is that LeBron might not be happy about being a Laker, and it's revealed that supposedly 4 teams have already contacted the Lakers about a trade for LeBron.
4.
Four teams: the Cavs, the Mavs, the Warriors, and the Clippers.
So he would stay in LA, play with the Clippers, or go up to Golden State and play with Mr. Kerr, or go to
reunite with Kyrie,
or go to Dallas, which was because Kyrie just re-signed with Dallas, which would make everybody think that that's odd.
And of course, the trade that we've talked about ad nauseum here, they've already had a big trade this year, the Mavs and the Lakers, but why not another?
Does Luka feel unloved? How do you feel if you're Luka right now?
I don't know Luka all that well, but I
how would you feel? You get traded to the Lakers to play with LeBron. You get for like a couple of games, 20, 25, 30 games.
Well, all this talk is because they're saying that the Lakers have told Luka, you are our guy, and we're building this team around you, and no one else matters, essentially. So
how old is LeBron?
40, 41.
So if we were going to talk dating terms, let's make this a little comical.
Okay.
You have a son. He was ready to build a family. And he brings to you the first lady that brought a sparkle in his eye. She's 41, and he says, Dad, we're going to have some kids. Then you're going to hit the brakes and go, whoa, 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 whoa. You sure you want somebody that's a little bit younger?
Yeah.
A little older to be building the family around. So the fact that LeBron would be a little shocked that you would build around Luka is absolutely a joke. Any team would build around Luka. I would drop Luka on any team, even Golden State, and I would tell Curry we're building around Luka.
Of course. Of course.
What does LeBron want? He still wants to be the guy?
I guess. I mean, again, this is all smoke and potentially mirrors here, but the word is that LeBron really wasn't in on the trade, and it truly blindsided him. And while he gets it from a basketball perspective, he is feeling he's not felt so loved even before the Luka trade, even before that happened.
LeBron is a drama magnet. So if we look at what the Lakers have done since the trade, so the ownership was sold.
You'd think they're pushing him out the door.
Well, you have the GM who looks like he's an actor. I don't know if you've seen him and how he dresses. Dresses fantastic.
Rob Lowe.
Unbelievable. Rob Lowe should play him in the movie. I know he's about the biopic because they did that with the Lakers in the 70s. So they worry about that.
Not that I ever want to see the Lakers and the Pacers in another championship, in another final. But how great would it be a movie about that where you can have Rob Lowe playing Pelinka and you could have Jim Carrey playing Carlisle on the sidelines for Indiana?
It'd be pretty great. I still think the call for Luka trade was really easy. I do always enjoy the thing didn't work out the way LeBron thought it was going to. And he's suddenly like, I didn't know. I'm not happy. It's like when you flip the coin, LeBron always ends up trying to be on the side of both the sympathy and the hero all at the same time. Yeah. Like we're supposed to believe like they just took Bronny James, the Lakers did, because he was the best pick at that time. Like
No,
Le-
is that
LeBron
we
didn't
know?
have LeBron didn't have any say in that. And now I'm supposed to believe like Luka was an option and LeBron was blindsided. His best friend, who is not his best friend, Anthony Davis, was oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. If I've you, no one's going to say anything because LeBron is such a powerful person, which is why this offseason, I cannot wait. Putting Jordan on NBC, there's one
I mean,
player who's not one person, not a player. There is one person who is not afraid of criticizing Mr. James, and that's
yeah.
Jordan. I mean, Jordan can say whatever he wants because
Oh,
nobody's hurting Jordan's brand. And and again, he's not. I don't think he's going to say anything critical of James. I don't think it's going to be a fight per se. But the thing that's been off-putting for a lot of sports fans about James is if you look at all the moves that he's made and the moves he's made after the moves, because he's never settled or said this is perfect. He moves for the move. The move works or it doesn't work. There's always reasons for it, and then he moves on to something else where it's like, oh, I just wasn't as big of a part of that. And he's on this podcast with Nash, and they're doing this stuff where they had KD on and they were all talking. It was just, I listen to these guys, and it's so like, I don't know if it's off-putting. Not that I'm anybody, and people listening to us, it's like, what? I never played, but these are the best. Like Nash was the best in his era. James is the best in his era. KD, the best. And they're like, yeah, do you sign that contract? You got to like, do you really want to do this? Like, I don't think anyone ever thought, like, when Jordan signed on that contract, was he really all in? Was Kobe really all in? Now, again, everyone can argue that they were really nasty and they were hard to play with and they're really, upset and angry. But I just have a tough time buying this whole, I'm not saying a sob story, but like, yeah, they're going to do this thing with Luka. I really want it. I'm not really part of it. It's like,
I will say this. I think, I, look, I think you and I would both agree, as constituted, the Lakers are not a real contender in the West. There are just too many teams above them. Like, you and I would both be shocked if they made it out of the West next year, right? If everything stayed as is right now.
If they made it in the top 10, I would say I see that. If they were 4 seed this year, I don't see them being a 4 seed.
I don't see him being a 4 seed.
So hold on. So what you're saying, I agree with. If he would come out and say they're not a contender, we're not any better. I know we signed this center, but this is a project, and I need to go somewhere where it's not a project. Better than they're building around Luka. No, just say what it is. You want to be on a contender. You want to go get shopped to a place that has a chance to be in the finals, and that's what you want. You don't think the Lakers have a shot?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think unfortunately, with LeBron, and sometimes there's reason for it, but it's almost always like there's another narrative for what's really going on behind the scenes. But I think that seems to be it. And they say this could be his last year, and he wants one more run at. That's why he opted in, because he's going to play one more year. He's going to retire at the end of next year, but he wants the best shot to win. He wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. So I think that's why we have possible trade rumors.
We've all would like that, and I certainly no one would even dispute that he hasn't earned that. Mm-hmm. Like if he said, I want to go to contender because I only have a couple years left, or this may be my last year, all of that are statements of like fact that we can all eat a sandwich over and say I agree with it. These other things he says just are like, I didn't know, I wasn't part of it. Like let's not be ridiculous. LeBron wants a contender. I would love it if he went to gold. Like if you just said 4 teams, one of my top teams, I want him to go to Golden State. Why do I want him to go to Golden State? Curry's old, he's old. Why not? So we can watch the young kids play these old guys, and they're going to make the playoffs. I think Golden State with the playoffs with Curry and LeBron.
How about that starting lineup, man? Like
you're not intrigued?
Curry, Butler, LeBron, Draymond, and it doesn't even matter who plays center. Like,
I mean, you're not intrigued by that?
At that point, maybe they'll get Horford to come along and just have this like just all-world team from 6-7 years ago.
But again, and if you were to say that's the team, are they making it out of the West? I go, I don't think so.
I still don't think they're making it out of the West.
Like the biggest problem with the West is OKC is young. We both agree Denver made excellent moves.
Absolutely.
And the one area that no matter where LeBron goes, nobody is going to be able to handle Joker. And SGA and his team of like 8 awesome people are going to be problematic.
Well, here's the thing too. Any of those teams that are, rumored to be interested in trading for him are going to have to gut their team
to get him.
To get him. If LeBron truly wanted to go on with a contender, he should have declined his option when he had the chance, and then he could have signed on with any team for the veteran minimum. I think he's always worried about his reputation, and a lot of times this may be one of those cases. It ends up being even worse for him in the end, but maybe he was like, well, I'm going to opt in and I'm going to try to play along. Like, I want the Lakers to succeed. I'm championing their free agency moves. And then if it's really bad, I'll force my way out. But now you're putting teams in a position where to acquire you, unless you get the Lakers to buy you out, which I don't see the Lakers doing because that doesn't benefit them at all. Unless they really are done with him and they want to pay him to go away. I don't see them doing that to LeBron James, but any team's going to have to gut their roster. The Mavericks, that's the one place I could say LeBron maybe puts them as the upper echelon, because I already think an argument can be made if Kyrie comes back soon enough and is healthy, and Davis stays healthy, and Cooper Flag is doesn't even have to be his full potential, but it's just good. Klay Thompson is shooting well. Like, that's a really good team. They got the other center. That's a good team that I could see them being in that conversation for that top 4. And you add LeBron to it, but if you get LeBron, you're going to have to trade somebody. You're going to have to trade a lot of contracts to make that work.
Luka is an excellent talent. Luka's great, and it shouldn't take the Lakers long to put people around Luka that make a lot of sense. I think the hardest part...
Theoretically, you can play with a lot of guys.
The hardest part about this whole thing is your point, which you made earlier. He took the player option. Once he did that, it really bookshelved him on where he could go and what could happen. And teams are looking at that and saying, is it worth me trading X amount of dollars and talent and younger talent, much younger talent, to pick up LeBron, who is still really great, has a lot of positives, can certainly be a difference maker on so many levels because he's just
100%.
He's just that talented.
Hey, look, if he actually did get bought out and like you could sign him on the vet minimum, I'd want him on my team. Let's do it.
Every team on the East would want him, and he would go to the East because the easiest place to get back to the finals is on the East. We both agree on that.
If he joined the Cavs or the Knicks on the vet minimum, forget about it.
Heck, he could join Boston.
Yeah, it's true. He could.
You literally could join Boston and be like, oh, wow, Boston is suddenly intriguing. Legit.
That's intriguing. Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
So, like, I look at this and I'm like, if I was LeBron, I wouldn't have. It's real easy for me to say. I've never been offered $53 million, everybody, and I've never walked away from that.
Was it because he was afraid of hurting the Lakers fans' feelings, or the Lakers not necessarily hurting their feelings, but making himself look bad in the process of.
But he's got such a large PR mafia that just is able to handle things. Even if he opted out, I think he still looks good. Yeah. No one's gonna shame that. Like, when I look at this, it's like, so KD went to Houston, so now there's pressure for them to do great in Houston. The Suns are the Suns. We both don't see a whole lot of hope in the Lakers. Golden State really wants to just squeeze everything they can out of Curry before it's over. And Dallas is also, that's a team because they have a lot of stars that are older. So there's a lot of folks that are like in that dial. And then I look at OKC and Denver, and then the other team that I'm just like, I look at over the next 2 to 3 years, and I'm so intrigued with is San Antonio. Not because I like them, not because I want them to be good, but dear God, are they building something?
Let's not forget about Minnesota too. I mean, they were in the finals. I know they're probably not as good as those other teams now, and they basically are bringing the same team back, less a few bench guys. But I don't think they're like going away. I don't think they're falling into oblivion. They're still going to be in there.
You know the biggest problem that Minnesota has? A-Rod is now the owner. And I'm sorry, but
I almost brought up A-Rod when you were talking about Jordan, because the dynamic of Jordan is going to remind me about when they stick A-Rod and Jeter and like what's his name, David Ortiz together. It's just like, they're like, these guys got such bad blood between each other.
Yep.
So I'm glad you were able to get A-Rod back on the show.
Yeah, when I saw that he was one of the owners of Minnesota, I was like, that's not good. Like, no one ever signed A-Rod and they were like, World Series. So
he did win one with the Yankees.
I'm not counting it. Not counting that for him. I can count it for the other guys. I don't worry about anything about his legacy because he has cemented himself, just like Curry. They are what they are.
Yeah.
No one's going to look back at Curry and think, he really didn't. He really wasn't. It's the same thought I have with KD. There were moments of greatness. There were moments of what ifs. At the end of the day, it's great.
He's an all-time great.
James was in the finals 8 years in a row.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
There is that little carrot, though, of if he won with another team, he would be the only player to ever win a championship with four different teams.
So there goes the Cavs. They're out.
Right.
And if he went to Golden State, that was so. The LeBron news is always fun, and I think again he's really good at just taking a lot of the attention. Some of the things that moving away from LeBron James that I've seen or things that I've noticed. The Spurs. I'm going to go back to the Spurs because there's things that they're doing that just make me. I don't want to say shake my head, but just kind of get frustrated. I don't like the Spurs, everybody. I'm a Suns fan. You guys have no idea what those series were like getting coach popped out of the playoffs because he just outsmarted our coach. And then Nash got thrown around like a rag doll. And then we had put our toe over the bench. So there's a lot of history of hatred for the Spurs. So I'm coming at this with that just so everyone knows.
Yes.
The Spurs, I feel, are running their team like a high-end travel youth basketball team. Their entire team is traveling and watching their team in the summer league. These draft picks that they got, these young kids, they're stacking talent. And I look at that and I'm like, that looks to me like a little bit of OKC. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm watching this team and I'm like, they're not there next year. I don't think they're there. I think they're a playoff team, but I don't think they're taking those leaps.
And I will add this. To that. The Spurs, whereas a lot of teams are going to try and probably are trying right now to copy OKC, San Antonio has kind of been doing it forever. Now, the way OKC did it was like on steroids by like just stockpiling draft picks and just going all out and recruiting and not recruiting, but scouting and drafting the right players and putting in a system and all that. But the Spurs have always been good at like finding talent and finding the Manu Ginobilis and the Tony Parkers of the world and just pulling guys out of Europe and different foreign countries so now they have like a model with which to like refine kind of what they've been doing all along.
And the other thing about the old guard, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, they're still around. Yeah. I know Coach Pop had his stroke, and so he's moved on to another role, which is good for him.
But he's still being involved.
But you look at these kids they have, and they're kids. These are all kids. And you look at what they're building, and I wouldn't be surprised if a year or two you see them jump by like 20, 30 wins. They just have that where they just click. And they're now lethal in the fact that they're just adding these pieces and this depth. They'll play. Like, look at their starting lineup. They're going to play 10.
Yeah.
They're not light. And they are already, in my opinion, they are in a much better position than the majority of the Western Conference teams. I think they're better than both LA teams right now situated. When I look at
Mm.
Golden State's better than them today, but in 2-3 years, it's not even questionable.
Oh yeah.
When I look at the state of Texas, Houston got KD, but when I look at the teams, the Spurs in 3 years are going to be the team of Texas. I don't
Yep.
think Dallas is going to be there. You got Kyrie, who's 3 years from now not going to be the guy.
Yep.
So you look at where the NBA landscape is. I say OKC, the Spurs. I know Denver's still around, but I look at the Spurs and what they're doing, and I'm seeing these draft picks perform, and I'm like, this is special, and special in the fact that it's like in a couple years. And if they were an Eastern Conference team, oh my goodness,
They might be like a 3 or 4 seed.
What they're building in the Eastern Conference would be so dominant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, there really is, I really believe there's something to consistency too. And that's something that OKC has had. They haven't made like major shakeups year after year, which a lot of the contending teams do. It's like, well, we didn't make the finals this year, so we got to blow it up and, just get another shiny superstar in here and it'll all work out and like break up our core. There really is something to like keeping that same, and that's what San Antonio is doing. Now, of course, you got to get the right guys, but OKC managed to do it, and I certainly trust a franchise like San Antonio to get the right guys to grow that.
And that this whole talking about them and seeing them and noticing it is just so infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not even like it's not like I'm talking about 25-year-old guys. These are kids, and I'm noticing how good they are as 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They still have 5, 6, 7, 8 years of just greatness ahead of them.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I just go, well,
a lot of guys don't even really like fully develop to their peak until they're like 26 years old, 27 years old. So yeah, they've, and some will bloom quicker. So
you look at Anthony Edwards is 23 this year. There's a big
crazy
difference. SGA being 26, being just those 3 years is such a big deal for that. What do the older players say? I wish my brain knew this much information when my body was 23, 24, 25.
Right.
I wish I could have used that knowledge because the craftier you get as a veteran, because your body, you have to compensate.
Don't they say that your brain during those mid 20 years, like your brain like grows like or develops like more than any other time and more than any other there's like a real shift that's made, I know, in your mid 20s that really kids are very much still kids when they're in their early 20s.
You're talking about the 25-year, once you hit 25, your prefrontal cortex is done.
Yeah.
That's what the rumors say.
It can't just apply to life skills. It's certainly got to apply to basketball maturity as well.
But the other thing that I like about the Spurs is they're making them like a team. They understand their kids. They understand they need to be parented. They're not just letting them go off and do their thing. It's just the difference between like, are they going to be a good teammate? Are they going to be focused on that goal, what we want? And I guarantee you they show them the banners. They talk to Tim Duncan, one of the greatest. So it's just that passing that baton down.
Yeah.
So the Spurs scare me in the upcoming years, and this summer, watching them in the summer league, watching their draft picks, I just shake my head and I'm like, man, I'm so glad the Suns don't have any draft picks because we don't need any of those young kids who just are so talented.
Right.
Glad we traded all those away. But in Suns news, we did sign Booker.
You did. I know you kind of were thinking of them like maybe it's time to like say goodbye, but I don't know. I feel like it's nice that one of the best players in the league still wants to be a Sun, still wants to go forward with them. I think it probably speaks to maybe he wasn't so happy with the way things went with Durant. And,
did you see how much that deal was?
That would make me happy. Yeah.
$74 million per year.
Yeah. That's a record deal right there.
I mean, I just looked at that and I shook my head. I'm like, so if he misses 8 games, he gets paid $1 million a game. And you look at OKC's roster and you look at how much those guys are getting paid. Booker himself is like what, players 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
So like, hey, Booker, you got to be the 6th man of the year, the 7th man of the year.
Well,
I just
okay, so they just lock up their big three too. So we'll see how that impacts them going forward.
But the maths to me are just like these contracts are just wild.
And the crazy thing is about the NBA, like what looks wild now, 2 or 3 years from now won't look wild at all because there'll be something even crazier. The salary cap will have gone up, and I mean, year after year, guys sign deals, and you're like, this is going to hamstring this team forever. And then the cap goes up, and it's like, oh, look at that, they got some more wiggle room. So
that's been the philosophy of the Lakers when they going all the way back to Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah. Orlando was like, well, I don't know if we can sign him for that much. And the Lakers were like, we'll sign him.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Guess it worked out well for them.
Not Orlando.
Not Orlando, no. Not Orlando.
So what else did you
Well, you mentioned the Clippers, and I would agree with you. They are not set up like San Antonio is to be good for the future. But I do like what they did recently. I do like the moves that they made to at least get themselves in the conversation.
You like
for this year?
You like the trade?
I do like the trade.
I didn't know if you were going to like that because we both thought Powell was playing his best basketball.
He was. He did not play good in the playoffs, though.
This is a true point. Very fair point.
He kind of disappeared. He is a player who's older. I think he's like 33. So he's he's a little older. And I always, and I know today, like they play like positionless basketball, but it always made me uncomfortable. This, like, they always seem to have like their best players playing at the same position, like Harden and Powell and Kawhi. And it's like, look, you're married to Kawhi and Harden. You're going to ride those two until you just have to blow it up, or you're forced to blow it up. So, like, why not like focus on the other positions? Zubac had a great breakout year, so you got your center. And so they traded Powell, who disappeared in the playoffs, and they got John Collins, who's only on a 1-year deal. He doesn't give you much defensively, but he can rebound. He's an offensive weapon. He could shoot. He's a lob threat. I don't know. I just feel like it gives their roster a little more balance, and I really like that about that. I like him in their starting lineup. And then they have they got Brook Lopez to back up Zubac, which I think is a smart pickup. Like, not a total game changer, but
just depth.
Just depth. So I'm not putting them ahead of Denver or Houston or Minnesota even, but I think they're in the conversation there. I think that I think they could be feisty again.
Yeah, I see your point. I see your point, especially about the players playing the same spot. There's only one basketball.
Yeah.
So Leonard's going to shoot, or Powell's going to shoot, or Harden. So just having more support roles around those two, and then having some defensive support and give them some more depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the Western Conference, and I think even the Eastern Conference, I think everyone just looked at it and said we need to play more depth.
Absolutely.
Indiana and OKC just showed everybody you need more depth, and you need that team, not just the starting 5. You need to go back 3 or 4 more players, but having that those roles in the starting 5. And it's so funny because didn't every team that did really well, but didn't they have all of those pieces, those 5 starters who had their roles and they knew their roles and they were all comfortable with their roles? Every championship team you looked at, you're like, these are our roles and we're okay. Like, even if you look at OKC, you know the roles.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the most critical aspects. And it's funny because when you look at a team, it's like, oh, maybe the roles don't work. Maybe this doesn't fit.
I think it'll always be there to some degree, but I think we are really moving away from like just people just getting names in here. Like that, and I'm not saying this to harp on LeBron. I'm really not. But like the whole big 3 era Like everyone was just like, just get a name in here, just get some names in here, just put these guys together. It doesn't matter what position they play, we'll just figure it out. And it's like teams now are just like, no, let's like this is what we were lacking this year. We were really lacking in defense, or we're really lacking in rebounding off the bench, or we didn't have shooters off the bench. Let's just target these guys for let's target a specific role. And I think it's smart. I think it put teams in better position. I know that's why I'm happy with what the Knicks did, because they were like, we needed more scoring off the bench. We needed guys to come off the bench and give Brunson a break, and they got someone who hypothetically can do that in Jordan Clarkson.
The interesting thing when I look at the big three, or the ending of the big names, it would be interesting to go back and look at the big three failures. And there are two teams last year that are obviously failed. One being the 76ers. Mm-hmm. They brought in what they thought they had, the big three, and that did not work out at all this year. And the Suns are the second one. They had KD and Booker, and they just, to your point, we need another name. And so they get Beal.
But they're all kind of like, they're all could be argument that there are 2, 3.
So they were like the Clippers. They had 3 guys that play a similar style basketball, and then they were like, oh, do you think we need a point guard? No, we're just going to have one of these guys play point. So to your point, it's like, what were you thinking how that could work? You have one basketball.
Right.
Beal was never a point guard. Booker was never a point guard. KD was never a point guard.
Yeah.
There's a value in that position, believe it or not.
It was like when the Knicks were just like their big two was Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony, and they wanted Carmelo to play the 4, and they wanted Stoudemire to play the 5, and Carmelo wanted to play the 3,
yep,
and Stoudemire wanted to play the 4. It was like it didn't make sense. So like you can't just bring in 2 really good players. You have to have roles.
Yeah, and if they would have had a good center, and he did play a 3, and Stoudemire played the 4, how much better would they have been? Instead of they're really great and they play out of position and they're really great, they make up for that. But I just go back to those teams, and like when you're building, this is why I look at the Spurs. They're building a team. Yep. They're building the pieces to that team, just similar to what they did with Tony Parker and Ginobili and Bruce and Duncan. And I know they had Robinson and Duncan together, and that solves a lot of problems. But at the end of the day, they still had that tough defender to face off against those really, really good shooting guards. And they had a really quick, lethal point guard. And then you had the 6th man of the year, Manu Ginobili, who could do it all. And so I look at that team, and I'm like, that is the team.
And, I don't know if we said it on the show or just in our own private conversations, but, we thought it was a little funky that the Spurs drafted another point guard, right? They have a all-star point guard, De'Aaron Fox. They got the rookie of the year and Stephen Castle. And now they drafted, Dylan Harper, who's, a point guard. But you remember the Thunder drafted Giddey, to a position that they already had and really didn't need. And, they tried to make him work in their system. They still got value out of him. He was still valued around the league. And then they packaged him for exactly what they needed in Alex Caruso in a trade. So, Spurs could do the same thing with one of their young pieces. They're just getting good players. They're finding, they're going to try to make them work. They're going to build their value, and they're going to look good because it's a good franchise. And if they need something somewhere else, they have the luxury of being
so if you're going to look into your future predictor of everything. So if you're going to look into your future predictor, where do you see LeBron James going back to our original conversation of the NBA season? Where do you see LeBron James playing the start of the NBA season?
I think there's I'm going to say, and maybe this is a cop out, but I'm going to say there is a 40% chance that he's on a different team other than the Lakers.
So you're still leaning he's a Laker.
I'm still leaning he's a Laker because, again, that trade is so hard. Like you just like the one that makes the most sense to me. The Clippers don't make sense because what are you doing? Are you trading Kawhi or Harden? I don't think so. Those are your guys. Um, the Cavs would have to gut their whole team and all that depth that we just talked about that makes them good. Um, the Warriors, they're gonna want him to play with Butler and Green, and they're not. And the Lakers, what do they want with one of those guys at this point? So if they're building around Luka for the future, so the Mavs kind of make sense to me, but you just sold your fan base who was torn to shreds by taking Luke away. That now we got Cooper Flag, and now we're going to even be better off because we've got Davis and Kyrie, and now we got the prize rookie, and now you're going to pull him out. I just don't see it. And I think there's also a chance that the Lakers are not in contention by the trade deadline. And I think they could either trade him then, or then the Lakers might be willing to do a buyout, because then it's only like a quarter of the season worth of a contract.
I don't see him doing that from a prideful standpoint. I think that's a difficult thing for him and his brand to be bought out the middle of the season or traded, be a trade bait because your team's not doing well. I think he's either going to be a Laker all season, or he's going to find a way to leave before the season starts.
If he is a Laker all season and the Lakers are not good, or, just make the playoffs, but, don't even get far, don't even, make it
do another 4-1 out.
Yeah. Does that inspire him to say, okay, I got to play another year and sign with a contender?
I don't think this is his last year.
I think he wants to go out on top.
So I don't think this is his last year, and I think that's why he took the player option, because he wasn't going to go and play for a minimum or play for 20 or 10 or 15. So the 53 made sense to him. He knows he's not going to be a top paid guy next year. So we'll see if the Lakers and him sit down and they decide on a buyout. I'm sure he's going to market that really, really well. So
yeah,
my prediction is he's a Laker all year, or he's not a Laker to start the season. I cannot see him being a trade bait. I just can't see that happening.
That would be a lot of attention on somebody who likes attention in the middle of the season.
You're not wrong, but again, you got to remember, whenever those trades occurred, he, in my opinion, helped orchestrate the moves. And I think, to your point, I think Luka gets too much energy for LeBron to be hanging out with it. So I think he's going to want to leave. So I can see them working on some kind of a buyout and him leaving. He still gets the money he's owed. He takes the minimum. He goes somewhere else. Because Luka, in all reality, when you look at Luka and LeBron, the energy, the attention, if you're covering the Lakers, no one's going to say, well, LeBron's amazing. They're going to be looking at Luka being like, especially if he gets in shape this offseason, he looks amazing, and he comes back. Like he's legitimately A+ star.
Yeah. No, and you know what? The reality is we could be talking about this all summer. It could be a story all summer, because we've seen trades happen right before the season starts. So there's still a lot of off season to go, so to speak.
If the Lakers are able to trade him and get a lot of stuff with Luka, I'm telling you right now, that makes the Lakers more dangerous. The Lakers right now, a buyout, I think, actually hurts the Lakers more than them trying to trade him.
Well, just think of a trade with the Cavs,
Luka, they're better. The Lakers are better.
They'd be better off probably with 3 of the Cavs starters.
Yeah, and that just Luka makes everyone better. Luka makes basketball easier.
Yeah.
And I understand why the Mavs fans were upset about it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with LeBron. We both know where the Suns are going to be when they start the season, and we're very intrigued about the Spurs. So that is our summer coverage so far this year, and we'll be here to talk more about these lovely moves, and the Lakers continue to take up all the attention. So as always, this is Nolan. Yeah, more breaking news. This is that's Nolan. This is Brendan. Like, subscribe, share. We appreciate all of you out there, and thanks for joining us.
Take care.